Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everyone doing? My name is Jeff Richardson, and hold on, I'm trying to see if I turn up my volume a little. No, it's all the way up. Well, whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna read some more of my book, babe. Reading some more of my book. It's called Shattered Worlds Day 1, Book 2, The Horus and the Sturmvolk. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I can see the chat, but also see my face. Make sure I'm not looking bizarre or whatever. All right. Here we go. Chapter 27, Aeana. The creature subtly shifted his weight, readying to hurl the spear. Thraxus knew what would come next. Musada's skill with the spear was legendary. Oh. I'm messing with perspective in these early chapters, and so I'm still trying to work out who the perspective should be in a given chapter. But I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be Aeana. But let's see. Thraxus knew what would come next. Musada's skill with the spear was legendary. He put down his head and shouted, "The words! Say the words!" and broke into a run. Aeana punched Celine in the shoulder. And this is back when I was using the laugh names. Aeana punched Sophris in the shoulder. Sophris began singing. Sala Samora, Sia Samurai, Luya Lacorius. Aeana started from the beginning. Sala Samora, Sia Samurai, Luya Lacorius. Joran came in close to the mic, growling the words, Sala Samora, Saya Samurai, Luya Lacorius. Faline came in next with a surprisingly sensual delivery. Sala Samura, Saya Samurai, Luya Lacorius. Grundle sang out, Sala Samura, Saya Samurai, Luya Lacorius. Numeria, still hiding beneath the mass of junk from the photo booths, rang out like a temple chorus, Sala Samurai, Saya Samurai, Luya Lacorius. The beast cast his eyes around the room, confused by the strange incantations. He hefted the spear over his shoulder and drew his knees apart in a martial pose. Ramsdell was trying to slide around the fridge, but his legs weren't cooperating. The captain heard him grunt, "Fuck it," and then mimicking the song, murmuring the words as loudly as he could manage. Sala Samora, Saya Samurai, Luya Lacorius. The captain drove his shoulder hard into the suit like a linebacker, arms wrapped astride the waist, the crown of his head stabbing straight into its flank like a spear. For all his athletic prowess, however, he may as well have been tackling a semi-truck. He went nowhere other than down, a massive headache erupting behind his scrunched up eyelids. The helmet looked down to study him briefly, then looked back to Joss and unleashed the spear. Grundle screamed, Samura! 3 shots rang out. Numerius was blasting off rounds from his submachine gun. They clipped the haft of the spear as it left the necrotic's They clipped the haft of the spear as it left the necrotic's gauntlet, twisting it off course. The 4th shot clipped through the helmet's chin strap, sending the armor suit reeling, the captain sliding along with it. The men all gasped as the spear loosed psychotically toward The men all gasped as the spear loosed psychotically towards Joss Ramsdell. Joss, on the other hand, just shit himself. You can only bravely stand up to monsters for so long before it really starts to freak you out. Thank goodness he'd been fasting that week. It could have been a lot worse. Sala Samura! Sia Samurai! The wickedly barbed red spearhead torched its way through space and halfway into Joss Ramsdell's face. But wait! Somehow, Joss's entire body had expanded outward and away from the path of the blade. Joss's helmet had been cleaved in twain, but he was still moving. Waves and waves and waves of vicious, viscous, soul-black energy course in and around his head, neck, and shoulders. Jaws! The captain screamed in horror. He yanked his power blade sharply from its sheath and buried it into the side of the Musada armor. The creature turned its helmet to face its attacker, face mask quivering. Why do you strike me? The captain cringed. You're killing my friend! Thraxus wailed, his entire body racked with torment. The creature tensed, then loosened. It was as if the captain's concern for life had confused it. The blackness fluttered away, all traces of it gone in an instant. Joss drew an enormously over-exaggerated breath and collapsed. One whole side of his face was rippled and suppurated from the heat of invisible internal fire, his right eye swollen shut, steam rising from his skull. Joss! The captain stabbed and stabbed the monster again and again and again, but the beast was unfazed. I don't understand. You should love me. Why don't you love me? The creature withdrew another spear from its side. The captain froze. Musada! I call forth your power! It was Ayanna. She was shouting. Could she work her magic through the intercom without being in the same room or even on the same ship? She stretched up to full height and stamped her foot hard against the side of the desk. Her image shook as the camera's mount wobbled. I command you to defend your honor in the face of such great treachery. Everyone was silent. Why have you summoned me, witch woman? The necrotic recoiled, looking around, trying to find the source of the voice, emanating as it did from the thing itself. Ayanna slammed the console hard with a fist. Musada, you fought like a demon unto death. All your days no one would ever have challenged your bravery. Yet now, here, you let this treacherous beast defile your sacred armor? Sacrilege! Chapter 28. Ayana. Sorry, I'm just writing a thing here. All right. Sala Samara, Saya Samurai, Luya Lakorius. Ayana continued the chant, her allies repeating it at odd intervals all around her. If life and death wasn't an issue, the whole thing might have been fun. It was like they were all back in school doing a sing-along. Except for the swirling black death missile that was the necrotic spear. Hold on. I feel like I missed one again. Is there a 6B? I think there might be. I think I wrote it later. Created. Title. Dance with Death, Part 6B. Okay. So this is chapter 28. Chapter 28. Grundle. Grundle knelt there in his martial crouch, hoping against hope that this last tactic would turn the trick, that he wouldn't have to sacrifice his body even more to this nightmare. Priestess of lies, silence yourself. You bring shame to all the slutty filth who ride upon your clitoral coattails. This conversation is wholly one-sided. Grundle's eyes flew wide as he realized what was taking place. The spear was opening a 3-foot-wide portal into the bridge of the Sturmvolk. The monster's spear was going to pierce Ayana. Grundle forced himself into a run. Chapter 28. Ayana. The creature subtly shifted his weight, readying to hurl the spear. Thraxus knew what would come next. Musada's skill with the spear was legendary. He put his head down and shouted, The words! Say the words! No. I didn't go farther. Come on, Jeff. Chapter 7, which is now chapter 29. There we go. Chapter 29. Ayana. Sala Samara, Saya Samurai, Luya Lakorius. Ayana continued the chant, her allies repeating it at odd intervals all around her. If life and death wasn't at issue, the whole thing might have been fun. It was like they were all back in school doing a sing-along. Except for the swirling black death missile that was the necrotic spear, weaving a hole through space-time and pointed directly at her chest. She could feel the sweat beading up at her hairline and between her breasts. She always did hate sweating. She could see Joran from the corner of her eye, eyeballing the growing black portal in horror. Part of her was flattered that Joran would sacrifice himself to save her. The other was ashamed. Joran was a good man, not the world's greatest father, perhaps, but deserving of respect nonetheless. Here he had tied his lot to hers, not out of self interest, but rather because she'd inspired him to do so. If not for her righteous commandments, he'd have been halfway back to Calustria by now. Instead, he was facing a most certain death. The song continued to roll. The tip of the spear, glowing red hot, dipped into her reality. It would surely destroy her unless Joran or someone else did something stupid like jump in front of it. She prayed to the goddess that he would not. Look at her, looking out for other people. 30. Grundle. I think. Sometimes I'm just really digging what two characters are doing, and I just switch back and forth, and it's cool because Aeon's over there in the Sturmvolk and Grundle's in the Horus. Anyway, as Grundle cut the distance between himself and the animated suit, an idea hit. Measuring his words very carefully, he began to recite, "Computer, record voices, sample sentence, repeat at offbeat, double and treble voices, echo bitrate 500 per." He ripped the back of a metal chair off with his bare hands as he neared the creature, trailing it behind him like a samurai sword. "Preview recording, playback now!" The computer instantaneously generated the requested sounds, which transformed the few shaky, confused voices into a cacophonous symphony of syncopated incantations. Everyone stopped reciting the second they realized what Grundle had done. The creature seemed to realize something important was happening as well, as he turned to face Grundle instead of hurling the spear at Aeon's portal. Grundle smiled wide and swung the chair leg in a huge arc from floor to ceiling. The tip of the weapon connected at the point where the creature's helmet had been bolted to the rest of the suit. A clack of metal erupted as the bolt obliterated and the chair leg took the creature in the face. Swirling black energy shot everywhere in all directions. From the outside, all one could see was Grundle's legs and the bottom half of the captain as the magical maelstrom swirled and roiled. The creature screamed in intense fury, striking mute all who heard it. Grundle couldn't remember ever feeling so terrified. The helmet soared through the air. Grundle burst out the other side of the black morass, his improvised blade arcing left to right as he followed through with his swing. The screams rang out again and again and again, filling everyone's minds with images and sounds of the most horrendous depravity. This creature was, without a doubt, the most disturbing thing any of them had ever seen, and all of them had just seen dozens of women and children murdered by Creel's bomb the day before. How about that? Bang! I just realized that I think maybe I had the helmet get shot off earlier. I don't know. I'll have to double check, but yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna shut it down for the evening, but I will be at you next time, friendos. Have yourself a good evening. And I'm gonna have a new episode of The War for the Tower out soon, so check that out on your podcatcher of choice. Also, all my other shows, Shattered Worlds RPG, everything is awesome. and good idea. So find all that stuff and more at Sinister Parent Company, at Sin Parent Co. on Twitter. And yeah, keep being awesome.